Aloha mai kako, Alfred Kakanumadaris Koyunoa, no Waianae Mayao. I am the co-VP of Puʻuhonua Wailupe. Mahalo Chair, Vice Chair, all council members. 4 years we've been fighting for this, you know. February 12, 2022 was a traumatic day for many of us. I come from Waianae and people was wondering, why am I over there in Wailupe trying to stop development? Because our ancestors are buried there. The same thing with anybody, if there was to desecrate Punch Bowl, there would be a rise up, same way we've done. It was a community effort, not only just by us of Puʻuhonua Wailupe, but of you as well, city council members, of the clean water, natural, you know, everybody over there, OHA. So many testimonies, churches, community members, and everything. And I'm a kiai. If you guys know me, I fight for everything. I stand for any part of ko Hawaii pai aina. You know, Wailua hit with the floods, I'm there. When burial grounds of Koloa is getting desecrated, I'm there. In Maui, you know, repatriation of our kūpuna, I'm there. I don't get paid for this. This is our kuleana. You know, we got to preserve what we have left in Hawaii. And it's a very unfortunate that we get displaced even when we're dead. You know, and it has to stop. And I believe this process, as long as it was, as heartbreaking as it was, through everything, could be the blueprint to move forward throughout Hawaii. You know, on our side of Waianae, get places that need to be protected, preserved. You know, all over, places need to be protected and preserved, you know. And in the beginning of this, the homeowner, the developer, you know, they didn't want us on the land. You know, they didn't understand that. You know, and now they work alongside us. They stand on the aina with us. They malama that. You know, it's been a growing process. And I want our keiki to learn this, you know, to understand our history, to know where they come from, you know, because throughout time we've seen Hawaii change, more development, we get pushed away. So everything gets to be, you know, decimated. Everything that once was, like the Wailupe fish ponds, the local ears, no longer around. But the history still is prevalent, you know what I mean? We're still around. Us Kanaka Mole and Hawaiians, as long as we're still alive, we can tell these stories our kūpuna told us. That's why you see my shirt, my kūpuna sent me. You know, earlier we had somebody saying, don't follow the lead of kūpuna. No, we get kūpuna guided in everything that we do. I know you guys seen on different side of me before, you know, the more ku'e approach in these meetings. Today, I like break down and cry because happy, sad, you know, fearful what may happen, but also know that our future is bright. We have keiki come up into the aina of Wailupe. They learn the olis. They learn about the history. We should do this across all Hawaii. Every ahupua'a should have the same significance as we do, as we feel of Puʻuhonua Wailupe, you know. And I just want to say mahalo to many of people inside this gallery today. You know, my wahine side by side with me through this whole process. You know, they say behind every good man is a better woman. I'm half one great man without the best woman in the world right there. You know, and the wahine that's been through this whole process, Healani Sonora Pale, fighting diligently. Malia Marquez, my sister, the co-VP along this. You know, we had Mia Lissa Otis. You know, our po'o should be here today, Uncle Michael Hikalea, but he's sick. Me and my wife been fighting with illness. I woke up this morning like I was brand new. You know, that's my kūpuna in me, saying you gotta be there. You gotta watch this follow through and see what happens. And that's why we're here today. You know, like I said, this could be the blueprint. I heard Andre Tupola speak up on the last meeting that we have parcels across our west side that should be in the same thing, you know, that should be brought up to the clean water. And I stand with you all the way to preserve anything a part of Hawaii, a part of our culture, a part of our history, you know, to preserve it and keep it in place, you know, because once that gets displaced, the history of that place gets displaced. And when that history is displaced, we get displaced. You know, we don't belong in museums. We belong here. We belong in your guys' seats, you know, to fight for our people, to fight for the land, for the protection and preservation. So mahalo to you guys, and I support this wholeheartedly. You know, I was willing to give my life on that day, February 12, 2022. And I'm willing to do the same for anybody, you know, at any time. So mahalo, everybody. Aloha.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Heilani, Alfred, Mike, Chris, and all of you who worked so hard for this for years. You know, thank you to the landowner who finally came around, which took a lot of convincing. I think that came from you guys too. Thank you to OHA, Clean Water Land and Natural Lands Fund for their hard work. And thank you to the Department of housing and land management for your future work, right? Not POW yet, guys. We got to keep the pressure on these guys. We want to get this done. And finally, Alfred, I like what you said. Let's go for the next property because that fund still has a lot of money in there. So exciting to think of what's next. And thank you, Chair, for your hard work putting this all together. Having said that, any objections? Seeing none. Resolution CR 190, 2026, and Resolution 26-151, CD1 has been adopted. Thank you, guys. All right.